Hello friends, I'm Jae Sinnett. For this drum session, let's have a little bit of jazz education. And I'll show you some things that help to define jazz, more or less from a rhythmic perspective because I'm at the drums, and give you some pointers perhaps in better understanding what you're hearing when you listen to jazz. Now this is a session that's not just for drummers. It could be for the basic jazz appreciator, serious jazz aficionados, professional players, students. So I think there'll be something in here for everyone. So this is some music, jazz music education, all right? The first thing, let's look at the rhythm of jazz. Jazz is probably the only genre of music that is structured rhythmically over the swing rhythm. And the swing rhythm has to do with the triplet feel. Now, if you look at swing, right, first I'll play you a straight eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. In jazz, that would sound and feel like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you look at it notated on sheet music, it would look the same. So a lot of times when students come into learning jazz or studying jazz and they get a sheet of music and they see these eighth notes written, a lot of times they want to play da 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 da. Nope. In jazz it's da 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 da. So straight, which is heard more in funk and groove music. 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Swing. 1, 2. Straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and swing. Okay, now we look at that swing element. Da 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 da. Triplet, triplet, triplet. See what I mean? The feel of the triplet. The quarter note triplet. Eighth note triplet. 16th note triplets. Triplet. Everything in swing is structured around some variation of the triplet. So you have to get the in your body. Now, when the drummer is playing time, straight time, we want to have good time, but we have to have good time. And then we embellish with accent placement or beat placements. Keep the same tempo, and we have accents, and then we have dynamics. Accents are beats that are hit a little harder than other beats. So if I was playing dynamics are louds and softs. Louds and softs. That's dynamics. Those are dynamics. Too often today, music starts loud, stays loud, and ends loud. So when there's no dynamic variation in the music, it's not going to be very musical. And smart accent placement in certain spots, that can add a lot to the flow of the music. So understanding that swing rhythm versus the straight rhythm is very, very important when you're listening to jazz. And then we also, the improvisation. So I would say probably the rhythm and the improvisation in jazz are the two areas where people have the most difficulty in interpreting what they're hearing in jazz. We play over what we call forms, song forms. Like songs, most songs are written in a specific even bar number of forms. Like standard song form is like 32 bars. For example, if you're in 4/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, all the way up to 32, and then we just keep repeating that form. Standard blues form is 12 bars. So let's look at a blues. I'll whistle some sort of melody. A Blue Monk by Thelonious Monk, 12 bars. And we play that melody twice, so 24 bars. A blues is 12 bars. But we play the melody twice, and then we improvise over those 12 bars. We just keep repeating over those 12 bars. So 1, 2, 2, 3. Improvise. Right? So you get the gist of the idea. A lot of times when you hear us improvising, you might think how, and you hear if you hear the drummer playing a solo, right? And then all of a sudden the rest of the band comes in at the same time. You might think, how do they know how to do that? The drummer wasn't even looking at them to give them a cue. What they're doing, they're counting. They're counting the number of bars, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. And they're back in. Ta-da! That's song form, right? So, but every song, of course, is not 12 bars. So standard blueses are 12 bars, usually. They can have extensions, they can have an introduction, they can have a little interlude, it depends on what the composer wants. And then you have the standard song form that could be 32 bars, which is standard song form usually, but they don't have to be 32 bars. So that's why it's important to really learn the melodies. Because a lot of times when you're listening to the jazz players improvise, the good ones, the great improvisers, will have some sort of theme connection in their improvisation. So that's what we call thematic development. And so we're not just, when it comes time for our solos, we're not just throwing a bunch of stuff out there that's not connected to the theme. And there are musicians that do that, but it's not very musical. So that's kind of a little bit of the method to that madness. We definitely have, there's a method to the madness, so to speak. We have these themes in our head. We have a tempo. A tempo is how fast or slow you play something. That might be a little too fast for something, so we slow it down. Right? So tempo, how fast or how slow you play something. We've talked about the swing element, the swinging eighth note versus the straight eighth note. You have to understand the triplet feel in jazz. We talked a little bit about improvisation. There is something called meters or time signatures. Like a lot of you heard of Take 5, right? The Paul Desmond classic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5, 4. The numerator is telling you have 5 of something. The denominator is telling you what you have 5 of. So the 4 would be the quarter note. So you have 5 quarter notes per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we swing it. Otherwise it would be played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want that. So we again we swing it. Great. Swing. Right? We could have 3, 4. 3 is telling you how many. The denominator is telling you how many of what. So 4 again is the quarter note, so we have 3 quarter notes per bar. 1, 2, 3. Now those are some basic examples of time signatures. You can have 7, you can have 9, you can have 11, 11, 4, 9, 4, 9, 8, 11, 8. Usually when the denominator is 8, the tempos are usually faster. Like a waltz is usually slower. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. Now, you won't have 3/8 usually. You'll have 6/8. So 6/8, a simple way of looking at 6/8 is like a faster waltz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Some 3/4 versus 6/8. Basically 6/8, a faster type waltz, but it would be notated differently on the music. So, understanding jazz, these are just some basic fundamental pointers in understanding jazz. You know, to understand that swing rhythm, because the swing rhythm is not usually what you hear when you're out and about. If you're in a grocery store, music playing, unless it's jazz, you're not hearing swing, right? I mean, there's some swing in like rock shuffles. Versus straight. Again, that feel, understanding the swinging difference in the rhythm. And then understanding the improvisation, a little bit of how that works. Of course, the musicians, you know, if you're playing a melodic instrument, you have to get into some harmony and understand harmony, because there are chord progressions and things like that. This is more in the music direction, you know, the musician direction of it. But from a basic listener perspective, You know, there are chord progressions, harmony, two or more notes played at the same time. We identify them as chords, melody or melodic continuity, a succession of single note lines, right? And there could be all kind of chord progressions. There are keys. What key is the song in? So a lot of your chordal movement depends on your key, okay? Your tonal center. And you have to know your scales and your scale chord relationships, and then you have to have your rhythm together, and then you have to have your time together. This is not easy. It's not easy to play, and when you're first listening to it, it's not easy to listen to because there are so many things happening, so many complex things happening. But there are great musicians that make it sound easy. You simply have to be patient when you're listening to it and not react to what you first hear. Like if you hear something, you go, man, I don't get that, I don't understand. Be patient, right? Be patient. When I first heard jazz, I was like, ooh, why are they just going off in different, you know, kind of like a cat and a dog in a garbage can, right? That's what it sounded like to my unprepared and untrained ears. So I get it. I do. I get this. But once I started to get a better perspective on understanding the method to the madness, it started, I was like, oh, okay, I get this. I see why the bass player is walking the bass line. So you get that feel, that walking bass line, and then the drummer playing the time with the dotted eighth note cymbal beat and the 2 and 4 and the hi-hat. Right? Then the piano player or guitar player come in with the chords, comping, right? And then the horn players come in playing the melody. Then the improvisation starts, right? That improvisation, it's not just random out there stuff, you know. There's that song form. It's a map, you know. They're weaving in and out of that map, and we keep coming back to the top. We improvise through a certain number of bars again, or measures, through the form, in a certain key, over a certain set of chord progressions and such, and a certain rhythm and time signature, right, and tempo. And then we use all the musical devices like playing with dynamics and smart accent placement and listening to each other. Listening, because we feed off of each other. It's a conversation, right? It's a conversation, man. Conversation, right? If somebody's talking to you loud all the time, it gets very annoying. So we listen and we feed off of each other. And when you have a great group conversation, man, it's nothing like that. I mean, it's nothing like it. That's the way it's supposed to go, the conversation. So, little brief jazz education here in this drum session. Some jazz education. Hope you got something out of this. I'm Jae Sinnett, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send me an email to jjazz, that's JAEJAZZ, @yahoo.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Always love to know what you think of my drum sessions, and check out my YouTube channel, Jae Sinnett YouTube channel, and my Facebook page. Friend me on Facebook as well. So until the next drum session, check out some jazz. Maybe you'll listen to it now with a more refined ear. Okay? Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.